We're blessed to have a few minutes here with White House Deputy Press Secretary Kush Desai. Kush, big news from the S&P Global, reaffirming the United States credit rating, largely in thanks to the customs levy that the president is bringing in. Does the president view this as a sort of a vindication of his economic model, his economic thinking, that the customs duties revenues that are getting brought in from all of his tariffs would largely fund the tax cuts that were made permanent in the One Big Beautiful Bill? Does the White House feel as though this is vindication for its thinking, sir?
Absolutely. I think it's a reaffirmation of the fact that, the United States is in great hands under President Trump. And let's just put aside the tariff piece for a minute here. The fact of the matter is that America's debt to GDP ratio has actually declined since President Trump took office. And when you look at all of our pro-growth policies, the Big Beautiful Bill tax cuts, the rapid deregulation, these historic trade deals, as they take effect, we continue to expect that this ratio will continue trending in the right direction and our creditworthiness to continue improving. And then when you add in the hundreds of billions of dollars that the tariffs will bring in, the fact that we've cooled inflation so the Federal Reserve can cut rates as well and lower our borrowing costs, we're looking at a future where we are really making America wealthy again.
How big of a game changer is the consistent revenue stream that the tariffs are bringing in? We saw, again, about $29 billion in July. That was more than June. It should be even more this month, Kush. How big of a game changer is this to have this material, consistent revenue stream to fund some of these goals and offsuit the growing debt?
Look, when you look at the history of the United States, for much of this country's history, the federal government relied on tariff revenue to pay all of its bills. And I think here we're seeing a major stream of revenue that, again, we think that foreigners will pay the brunt of because they rely on access to the American economy. It's on them to pay these tariffs, not on us. That this is money paid for by foreigners to continue helping America become wealthy again, to pay off our federal debt, to invest in infrastructure, to rebuild our country. And this is just a major source of revenue that we can continue putting to good use thanks to President Trump's thinking.
And speaking of the tariffs, the president's administration announcing that 50% tariff on steel and aluminum is going to be extended to about 400 additional new products. It's been celebrated among the steel industry in particular, praising the president for the move. Talk about why these tariffs on steel and aluminum are crucial for the president's thinking in reviving an industry what many people thought was dead previously in the United States when it comes to steel and aluminum.
Look, the fact of the matter is that you cannot have a country without steel, without aluminum production. When you look at all of its military uses, planes, tanks, missiles, ships, infrastructure, right? You cannot have a modern country, a modern economy without domestic steel and aluminum production. We cannot be beholden to foreigners for the production of these critical input goods. And so when President Trump signed his steel and aluminum executive orders a while back, he ordered the Department of Commerce to basically initiate a public comment period to talk to the private sector and say, okay, what other products, not just raw slabs of steel or sheets of aluminum, should we tariff as steel and aluminum to make sure that foreigners aren't undermining our tariffs? They can just get out of steel tariffs by, instead of sending us raw steel, they kind of make it into a finished product and send it over to avoid paying tariffs. And we want to avoid that because, again, steel and aluminum production is a national security imperative for the United States. And again, we're seeing the fruits of this policy pay off. You just saw Century Aluminum expand by throw in $100 million and hire many new people in their South Carolina plant. So we're seeing this across the board where you're seeing a rush of investment into steel and aluminum here in the United States, and we continue to see that trend will only pick up from here.
Kush, we appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.